Hello, and welcome to The Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynne Testoni. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business.
You know, feast or famine cycle hits harder without visibility over your finances. And that's why we love Rounded. It's an accounting system that reveals income sources, profitable clients and projects, and it helps you even anticipate quiet periods, doesn't it?
It does. It's great. And I know that because I've been doing this for quite a few years, like 10 years now, I have some real peaks and troughs over the years. And I think having that visibility into my finances really helps me, A, not get stressed, and B, manage that cash flow. I think it's really good.
Yeah, you can claim all the right costs and expenses with Rounders Expense Tracker, and some users have saved thousands through their tax returns. So it's really a total game changer for your money management.
True. Particularly, it's been a tough couple of years with this whole cost of living crisis. And I really like the fact you can track the invoices and payment reminders so you don't have to worry about those things. Like Rounded looks after it all for you.
It definitely does. And it frees up hours for you to either find more clients and earn more or maintain a better work-life balance.
We're all about that.
We are. And if you're a Rachel's List member, you get 20% off the annual Rounded subscription. So check out the show notes for more about that.
Fantastic. Hi, Rach.
Hi.
Hi. Would you agree it's been a difficult year for freelancers? I know we've both been busy, but there's a lot of chatter about how clients are ghosting writers and talk of an economic downturn.
Yeah, I definitely think I've seen a lot of the discussion in the Gold Group about this, and some people are struggling. That's why we really wanted to chat with Liv Steigrad today. She is she's a Sarah off camera doing a little love heart. She's going to talk about some of these issues with us. And I know Liv because she's been in the Gold Group for many years, and she's also done a lunch club, and I listen to her podcast, which is amazing. So yeah, this is going to be a good chat.
I know, I think that Liv has such an interesting approach. She trained as a psychologist, or she studied psychology at uni, and she says it's about understanding how people think, what they need to hear, and how to make your brand genuinely resonate. And I think less guessing, more connection, and I love that.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you introduce her and we'll get her into the hot seat.
I'd love to. So Liv Steigrad is a brand strategist, copywriter, and podcast host who specializes in helping founders and companies build brands that sound like people, not robots.
Yay.
Yay. With a degree in psychology and a background in storytelling, she unpacks the beliefs, biases, and behaviors behind buying decisions and translates them into brands that resonate. As a resident therapist at the Identity Department, Liv is known for blending sharp strategic thinking with grounded empathy. She speaks on topics like consumer psychology, ethical marketing, and human-first brand voice, always bringing a fresh take, a laugh, and something you didn't even realize you needed to do or hear. Welcome, Liv.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here. I'm a big fan of this podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Liv. That's so nice to hear. We were talking a little bit off air about your degree in psychology and how you've used it for your branding work, which is really fascinating to me. Tell us a bit about how you got into that and where those two sort of intersect for you.
As I was finishing my degree, my psychology degree at uni, I realized that I did not want to go on and become a clinical psychologist because I'm a big softie, and I realized that dealing one-to-one with people's like really difficult, painful issues was, I think, not going to be a good quality of life for me. So I didn't really know what to do. I got an internship at a magazine, and I stumbled across people talking about this copywriting thing in a Facebook group. And I was like, oh my God, like this is the intersection of my two favorite things, like psychology and human behavior and language and words and writing. And I was just like, this is it. Like, this is my destiny. And that was kind of it. I didn't really know how to get a job as a copywriter because, there was no TAFE course or like certificate or anything. So I just decided to give myself a job and decided to start my business that weekend. And that was back in 2018.
Wow. Okay. 7 years in business.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
It helps to be a little bit delusional sometimes and just go for things.
Oh, I think that definitely we can understand that.
I love that. I think that we've all kind of given ourselves a job, haven't we? Freelancers generally, it's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know you're all about having a simple messaging strategy. Do you want to talk us through that?
So I think that these days, the way we interact with our friends and the way we interact with brands, it's very, very tangled up. Like you're seeing both of those things on the same Instagram feed, for example. So as a brand, the best way to connect with your audience is to talk to them like a friend. Like building a human brand is my whole thing. I will die on this hill. So when you're communicating as a brand, you need to like be detailed enough to feel human and build that connection when you're, in the Instagram feed or in the inbox or wherever. But when we talk to our friends, it happens naturally. So when you're creating content for a brand, you do need a bit of a framework around the way you communicate so that you can cover all your bases. But like the essence of the thesis is talk like a human.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think we're seeing a lot of robot talk, especially on LinkedIn these days, aren't we? It's just, I was reading actually the other day, they're calling it people who cut and paste directly from AI into LinkedIn are sloppers. It's like AI slop. And they're calling them sloppers, which is really gross, but you don't want to be called that, do you? So,
No.
yes, write it yourself, or at least, if you're going to use AI, modify it so it sounds human.
Yeah.
Well, I think when we were going through your pitch, you talked about 5 things you need to talk about in your business. So let's go through those. I'm intrigued.
Yes. Okay. So when it comes to connecting and therefore ultimately selling, I like to think of it as like if you were trying to convince your friend that they should buy something, what details and what information would you tell them about the thing? And that's what your 5 core messages should cover. So the 5 things are you need to address the pain points or the frustrations. You need to address the strongest point of difference. You need to display a unique perspective based on your brand values. You need to address barriers, objections, or hesitations. And then you need to talk about how the thing aligns them with the best version of themselves. And I know that sounds a bit like technical or a lot, so I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's pretend you wanted to convince your friend to come to a Pilates class with you. How would that conversation go? It would go something like this. Hey, friend, I know you love Pilates, but find most classes are a bit boring. That's the pain point or the frustration. But I found this place that, they play this loud music and it's like a party. That's the point of difference. And this place, they play the music because they think that Pilates is already hard, so you should have fun music to pump you up. That's a unique perspective based on their brand values. And I know you've tried heaps of classes, but they have a free trial week, so let's do it together. That's addressing the barrier or objection or hesitation. And we can live our, Pilates princess dreams together, or then you can be really strong, or you can look good in a bikini, or whatever it is that your friend cares about. And that is aligning the friend with the best version of themselves. So when I go through it like that, you can see how a conversation would naturally flow. If you were really trying to convince your friend to do this thing, you would cover all of those things subconsciously. So as a brand, if you're selling things, if you're trying to sell things to an audience, cover all of those things and it will, naturally encompass the whole conversation that needs to be had.
So
but you're not necessarily doing it in that order, are you?
No, not necessarily.
No.
I think all of those are sort of broad categories. And then within that, you could have 100 different pieces of content because there are 100 different ways to communicate. You could have on one of those things a long form blog post or a whole podcast episode, or you could have a meme that somehow links your product to one of those messages. So those are broad categories that you can brainstorm lots of different ways to create content within. And you just kind of keep making things in those 5 categories so that if a new person comes to your Instagram or scrolls through all your podcast episodes, they will absorb a piece of information from each of those 5 categories and the conversation will be complete.
Interesting.
You might even have different pain points for different parts of your market, you know.
Yeah,
That Pilates studio might be people that are a certain age or a certain gender or whatever, and then you might address those individually too.
Yeah, like you can definitely get more granular and more complex with this. Like you have to, it comes down to audience research and what are their actual pain points, how many pain points, what are their hesitations. Like you can get very, very, very detailed with this, but I don't want to overwhelm people. So for anyone listening, you
Yes.
just want those 5 categories and you'll be good.
Oh, that's good.
Fabulous. What about positioning your own offers? Like how can you do this in a kind of natural way that stops potential clients hesitating?
I think the most important thing is to make sure you communicate clearly what you're offering. And I mean what the transformation or the outcome is, not a shopping list of what you're going to do. Because the truth is, people don't care what you do. They care about the outcome that it brings to them. So people they care about themselves. They don't care about how you spend your time. That's the truth. But also sometimes people suffer from a lack of imagination, or they're just too busy to connect what you said to the outcome for themselves. So you have to paint the picture, keep connecting the dots between what you offer and the result for them. And that is the easiest and the most natural and a very effective and an ethical way to position your offers.
So interesting.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because I'm in the midst of putting my services guide together. I'm about to unveil it. And when you're putting pricing out there, right? Yes, I think you need to talk about the transformation and the outcome because you're right. People don't really care what you do in the journey bit to get them there. But what about if you're slapping a price on something and they want to say, well, what do I get for that price? So you sort of have to have a bit of a laundry list of how I get there. Would you agree, or have I got the wrong end of the stick there?
Yeah, to a certain degree, yes. I think there's value in, rather than a laundry list, explain your process. So that could be something like, we'll start with a research phase, and then we'll do an analysis phase, and then we'll do creative concepts, and then we'll do blah. Because especially when your services are higher ticket, people will look for that reassurance. So it's not enough to be like, yeah, I'm going to solve your problems, give me $50,000. But again, they don't want to know hey, I'm going to go and look at Reddit and then I'm going to go and look at Facebook groups. They just want to know that you're going to do research. So I would say that it's better to talk about your process rather than the
The
detailed
intricacies.
list of steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because and this is something that's useful for people who are newer or who are maybe offering a new kind of service. If you don't have a testimonial or you don't have results that you can use as a proof point, talk about your process, and that can act as a proof point. It can demonstrate that you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Because I love your website. It's so simple and it's quite direct.
Thank you.
And you've got all the packages with prices on there. Does that work for you? Do you think your potential clients really resonate with that?
Yes, a lot of my clients have actually commented that they appreciate that I'm really open with that kind of thing. And, it works for me because it's aligned with my values and how I want to do business. And also it protects my time. I don't want to, get people on the sales call at all costs and then I can talk them into it. I don't want to pitch my services to someone who can't afford it and then they feel uncomfortable or pressured and it's wasted my time. And also my prices are somewhat customized, but I still want to be open about it. So I like to give a range. A range is good. Packages start at X, or a typical project ranges from X to Y, or anchor it to something tangible. This costs more than a coffee but less than a Michelin meal.
Yeah.
Or this costs more than someone from Fiverr but less than a full-time employee.
Yeah.
Which is pretty broad, but
Gives context.
yeah.
I definitely think that's one of the biggest things that freelancers struggle with is that whole gatekeeping notion. Do I hide my pricing? Do I have it in a services guide? What I'm doing is I do mention some pricing, but then I wanted to trial the services guide to get people into my funnel. So I was sort of going to do that. But I have downloaded people's services guides that don't have any pricing and they still make you contact them personally.
That makes me so mad.
I know, it's so many barriers just to get an answer for something that should be easy.
Yeah, it should be easy, and life is so hard. and complicated. And, you know, the digital world is so like there's stuff coming at us all the time. Like just respect people's brain space, respect people's inboxes. Like, you know, I think that have a services guide with prices on it, but give a ballpark indication so that the people who download it know, like, you know, if you're going to quote them $10,000, like if they have a $1,000 budget, like they shouldn't waste their inbox and, you know, your open rates. Like you don't want them in your funnel if they absolutely cannot afford it. Like it's disrespectful to them. It's a waste of your resources. It's a waste of their time. So I think that, you know, you can put things in place to like get people in your funnel and guide people's behavior the way you want it to go, but also like be considerate, be respectful.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Great
So I'd love
advice.
to know where and how you find your clients. Obviously, that's a bit of a gatekeeping. Do they find your website or share some of your strategies there?
Some people do find my website. Also, recently, I've had a few people reaching out saying that they found my website through, like, they were asking ChatGPT for recommendations, and ChatGPT apparently spat me out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but also,
We all want to be found on AI now.
Yeah,
New search.
yeah. Yeah, but networking events is what I've been focusing on this year because I moved to Melbourne 2 years ago now, but I've been putting more effort into that, the face-to-face aspect, and that's been really great. And also LinkedIn. Like I find Instagram is good for maintaining connections and like getting more visible, but LinkedIn is like the social media platform where I actually get paid work from.
Yeah.
I also have a very robust and automated system for reaching out to past clients, asking for like checking in if they need more work, asking for referrals, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So let's talk a little bit about branding because I know you do a lot of that. What
Yes.
goes into it? What's your process? Is that something you love to do or do you prefer the words? Talk us through all of that.
Yeah, I mean, what goes into it? A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love developing like a brand identity, a brand voice, the messaging strategy. I think to me, it almost reminds me of I've never written a novel, but I imagine it's like when you write a novel and you're building out characters and you have to really understand like how will they react in this situation? Like what do they care about and how does that drive their behavior? And, you know, how does that drive the way they communicate and their body language and just really creating it's like finding the balance between creating an intricate and detailed human, but one with like one that is simple enough for business owners to use. Like you can create a really, really detailed guide, but like it's just going to die in Google Drive if it's confusing to use. So I really love like that challenge, I guess, of building something that is like useful and detailed and effective.
So interesting. Do you see a lot of mistakes that small businesses or freelancers make with their copy when you obviously when you're working through this branding strategy, you must see a lot of common mistakes. What sort of things do you see?
The thing that is probably the mistake that I see, there are plenty of mistakes that I see, but the one that I think has the most significant impact is not understanding or not paying attention to the UX. Like if the copy on your website is a speech that's being delivered, the best speech in the world still relies heavily on the body language of the person delivering it. And that's what your UX is. Like your copy and your design need to play nice together. And I think that people, you know, they have really good copy, but it's all in like one paragraph or it's not broken up or the button doesn't work or something like that. And that is, it's such a shame because then the copy can't do its job.
It's amazing people make those sort of basic mistakes, isn't it? It's not even rocket science.
It's not rocket science, but it is like a very particular skill set or like knowledge set. And honestly, any business owner that is writing their own stuff or any copywriter that hasn't already done this, I really, really strongly recommend like find a podcast, go to YouTube, educate yourself on UX design.
Yeah.
Like listen to like a handful of episodes, watch something because it will make such a big difference.
Yeah, we're big fans of Susan Rioch. Do you know Susan?
No.
She's the UX copywriter. So she's got lots of courses and stuff like that. She was also, she spoke at our summit both years running. And yeah, I've learned a lot about UX from her. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting and really important.
Yeah.
Well, we talked a little bit about using AI tools badly on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'd love to know like how you sort of use them or how freelancers can still stand out with pitching their services and maybe not relying on AI so much, or is it something you can do?
Yeah, I think if you're a freelance writer and you're trying to pitch your services and you're worried about like, competing with AI generated content, I think
It is a common fear, definitely, out there.
it definitely is. And it definitely has been having an impact from what I've seen around online. But I think if you're pitching your work, something that you can do is make it clear that you offer a problem solving element in your service, something that AI can't do, whether that is interviewing experts or clients, like getting a good quote from someone, or even just coming up with like content or topics that actually achieve a certain outcome. Because if it's just, hey, we have a brief, like, can you go write this blog? We've outlined it all, blah, blah, blah. Then,
Yeah.
okay, like AI can do that. It still needs to be checked and edited, of course. But like what AI can't do right now is, if a business is like, hey, we want to capture like this audience segment through our SEO or whatever. And then you come in and be like, okay, I'm going to go and like do some audience research and I'm going to suggest some topics like that will sort of peripherally draw people in around this
Mhm.
like cluster of areas. Like going off on a bit of a tangent, but basically demonstrate your problem solving ability. Not
Yeah.
just, you're not just a monkey at a typewriter. You're more than a writer. Every
Yeah.
writer is more than a writer, but sometimes we forget to show how we connect the dots and solve problems like for businesses.
So interesting. It's true, isn't it? It's that whole human thing. And I think you touch on it like case studies and interviews. Definitely think that's a big plus for a writer is adding that human element in. Yeah. So you write lots of different copy, like looking at your packages on the website, everything from web copy to sales copy and EDMs. But do you have a
Mhm.
favorite yourself?
Yes, I love doing like brand strategy and brand identity development the most, just because I think it requires like the deepest research and then also the deepest analysis. Like I don't know, I find it a really like,
You like going deep?
yeah, like a meaty, chunky thing that you can like immerse in. But then on the flip side, I also actually love doing like micro copy or like really sort of like in-app stuff. Like I've done chatbot flows. I worked on the dialogue for Endeavor Group, which is like Dan Murphy's and BWS and stuff like that.
Mm.
And with that, like the developers had mapped out like the conversation flows and kind of just written the basic messages. And then I got to go and develop a personality for it and then make these, 18 character or like one phrase, like one sentence messages. Like, how do you inject some of the brand personality into that? And I love that. It's such a fun challenge of like, okay, there's limited character space and this copy has to be number one, functional, but number two, like branded. I love that.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
fun.
it's so good.
Yeah, there's so many ways I think that AI is going to, offer new opportunities for writers as well as
Hmm.
it's not all the doom and gloom that we're hearing. So that's really interesting. I just listened to a podcast about, creating bots within, memberships or within
Is
coaching
that the
programs.
Amy Williamson,
Yes,
Kirsty Phantom?
yes.
I saved that this morning to listen to. Amy is amazing. She's like my Bible for anything AI
Yeah.
related.
She just followed me and I was like fangirling. Oh my God, Amy Williamson followed me. But yeah, it's a really interesting episode. It's Nadine Nethery, who we actually had on the podcast recently.
Right. Okay. I saved it to listen to today on the train home, so I will definitely listen to it.
Yeah, that's fascinating because it's a whole other question, isn't it? Like if you've got that coaching program and you want to create a bot to create added value for your members or whoever's in your program, like do you make it a clone of yourself or is that a mistake? And yeah, just
Mm.
lots of questions. Getting onto that whole, how we want to sound, I think something that comes up a lot on the podcast is writers, they might not put themselves out there because they're scared of sounding salesy. Any tips
Mm.
for not for still being visible and having a good social media strategy but not having to deal with that salesy ick feeling?
Yeah, two things. Number one, remember that you're like telling your friend about a thing that will help them. Like if you just remove yourself from the equation for a minute and forget that you're trying to like sell, remember that you're being of service. So just talk about the thing that you're offering and how it's great. Like talk about it like it's not your thing, like you're trying to convince a friend to come to a Pilates class or whatever with you, and let that excitement come through. Like you're not selling, you're being of service. People benefit from what you do. And the other thing is respect your audience. Like, don't try to trick them. Show them that you understand where they're at and what they're struggling with. Show them your personality so that they can feel connected. Offer them a solution and then show them how it can help. And make sure that your UX is good and your tech is set up. Make it as easy as possible for them to say yes and follow through.
So interesting. Yeah, I think that's a good thing is taking yourself out of the equation, and it's really about thinking about your customer or, as you say, your friend. Yeah, and that does take away the personal, and it feels less sort of, as Rach said, salesy, and also I think we're also, maybe it's an Australian thing. We don't want to sound like we've got tickets on ourselves, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, don't think of it as selling, think of it as sharing.
Yeah. Nice. Speaking of sharing, I'm interested in your Dirty Money series, which is great on your blog, on your website, and where you unpack your earnings and expenses every month. Tell us about why you did it and what sort of results that has brought in for you.
Yes, I started doing it because I'm a clinically diagnosed oversharer.
Fair enough.
No, I started doing it because I just I would see so many like people in the online space, especially coaches talking about, six figures this and I'm six figures that and blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, but are you paying yourself six figures? Because I've had six-figure years in my business, but I didn't pay myself six figures and I did not feel rich.
Yeah.
And so that question really bothered me. And then also I noticed that I often felt ashamed of how much money I was making. And I really believe that shame only has power when it's kept a secret. So I know when I'm ashamed of something like that, I air it out. I put it into the sunlight, and that is my method of like dissipating the shame and like breaking its hold over me. So yeah, I decided to start talking about it and hopefully help other business owners feel like not ashamed or like proud of their achievements, because like we're all just we're all just trying to, survive in capitalism. And I think that running a business it's very rewarding, but it is mentally and emotionally hard enough without us like falling into that comparison trap when we don't even know if what we're comparing ourselves to is like the truth.
I like the fact you list your expenses and not just your income.
Yeah. And something that I haven't done, but which I have thought about doing soon is actually adding to it how much of that I'm paying myself,
Yeah.
because I think that that would be valuable. Like I want to know, like, oh great, you made $10,000. How much did you pay yourself? Did you
Yeah.
pay yourself super? Did you put everything aside for your tax? Like tell me, I want to know. Like I'm nosy.
That's important.
It's
Yeah.
it's very depressing as a freelancer when you have to strip out the super and send that to one account. Then you've got to strip out the tax and send that to one account. And then you see what's left and you're like, oh shit, like some of this has to stay in my business account, but the rest I don't have very much to play with at the end of the day. So
yeah,
you should.
It's quite confronting because you think you've made heaps and then it's like tax, expensive, this, that. And you're like, oh, I get to keep like half.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. It's so true.
But that series has had a really big impact, which I think I knew that it would, but I also was surprised at the responses. Like I had people message me on LinkedIn asking to join my email list because of those posts, and I've had a lot of people replying to my emails. Just really like heartwarming people saying, thank you for sharing. It means a lot, like sharing about their like where they are in their journey, or just like people appreciate the honesty and they connect to it, because I think people are sick of like the aspirational filtered stuff that we see on social media now. Like, oh great, you're on a yacht again, I don't care, like I almost couldn't pay my rent last month.
Yeah, it keeps it real, definitely.
Yeah.
And maybe it also helps you as well project for yourself. Like, I had a great month that month, and this is why, I got a couple of really big projects through. So you can sort of also use it to plan your future months and what you're going to do differently, or what worked, what didn't, that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. It's helped me sort of realize like the best cadence for my projects. Like I've been able to look at these and be like, oh, okay, my best month is when I like have a final invoice from the last project paid, and a deposit for like a project that's coming up, and an invoice paid for like my current project. And when all of that happens, then I'm sweet, I'm good. But it also forces me to like look at my mindset around things. Like I've noticed that I sometimes feel a bit icky sharing my numbers when I have a lower income month, but also when I
Yeah.
have a what for me is a higher income month. Like I had a month where my business made like $18,000, and I almost didn't post that because and I was like, why? Why am I why do I feel embarrassed or ashamed to share my success in almost the same way as I feel embarrassed or ashamed to share my not failure, but like my,
Your lower months.
failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just really interesting to force yourself publicly to like be aware of that and dissect it.
Definitely. Well, I wanted to also ask you about your podcast, which I love, the one that works for you. And you're currently doing a series on neurodivergence and talking to business owners who are neurodivergent. So, talk to us a bit about that, how long you've been doing it, what you love about it, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So the name for the podcast came from a conversation between me and my co-host Martha, because with being a business owner, and specifically with being like a neurodiverse business owner, you have to find different ways to do things. And we kind of kept coming back to this central idea of the best system is the one that works for you, because often the typical like business advice or, content marketing or like whatever, the business advice online often does not work for you if you're neurodiverse. And so it can be like this whole journey and this whole process to let go of that and let go of feeling like a failure because that business advice didn't work, and finding the system that works for you, and then creating an environment in which you are most likely to succeed at what you are wanting to do. And so that's basically what we talk about. And I love it. It's so fascinating. Like, I love hearing about how other business owners have experimented with things, what they've tried, what they've succeeded at, what they haven't succeeded at, because it's such an ongoing like process of figuring out, number one, how to do business, and number two, how to do it so that you as a founder or a freelancer or whatever are happy, like healthy, feeling energized. Like it's a lot. It's hard, and it's actually so individual.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? I mean, Rachel and I find that about our podcast, like speaking to so many different people about the way they run their businesses. Sometimes it's always inspiring. We learn things, whether we do that or not, it's irrelevant. Sometimes they work for different people, and sometimes you think, oh, that's a great thing I could do. It just
Yeah.
keeps your mind broad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I was on Kim Curtin's podcast, I called our podcast like the Curiosity Playground or something like that, because it
Yeah.
really feels like that. You pick up so much stuff, so much, intel from other people and how they do things, and tools that they use that you hadn't heard of, and all of that. But getting back to, business advice that works for you or doesn't work for you, what's your advice for writers whose former marketing strategies aren't working for them anymore?
I mean, there are so many things that could be impacting people's marketing right now. Obviously, the whole AI thing, but also just from a consumer psychology standpoint, when there is economic uncertainty or recession or any kind of downturn, there are actually very specific shifts. And this is very well studied, like well documented. There are four sort of psychological archetypes that consumers tend to fall into. And then there are, I think, four like archetypal like product types. And basically, you need to figure out like where your audience has fallen into and how they perceive your product, and then adjust your messaging to match them up. So this could be a whole episode. This could be like a whole detailed thing. But for the sake of time, I'll say go back to basics with your audience research. Find out what your audience is struggling with now, because it's probably different to what it was a year ago or 2 years ago, whenever you last like interviewed a client. I know that was kind of very broad.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Well, if anyone listening does want some more structure for this, I have a training on it called Mindset and Markets, and it's all about how to adapt your messaging when markets shift. And I will give you the link for the show notes.
Oh, that'd be great.
Amazing.
So
We'll
good.
put that in the podcast, and also the Dirty Money series link in the show notes, because we've talked about so much stuff.
Yeah.
So we also love to ask all our guests about their favorite tools or services. Like, we get so much gold from all these tech tips because it's always evolving. What would you be lost without in your work?
I would probably die without, I use a program called Upbase, and it's kind of like Asana, but it is a bit more robust, and it has a few things that work really, really well for me as someone with ADHD. Like, one of the main things is like in the sort of lists, and there's all the tasks and stuff, like in each project, you can also add a document where you can just write notes, or you can integrate it with your Google Drive. And that to me is a lifesaver. And so you can kind of look at it per project, or you can look at your overall thing with all of your tasks. And then they have like a weekly notepad and a daily notepad. And like, thank God, because I need to brain dump. Otherwise I can't focus on anything. And so it's really valuable to me to have this place where it's there and I can write my stuff that's either only relevant for the day or that I need to kind of do over the week. And it's just little things like that make it chef's kiss.
Nice.
Upbase. Okay.
Upbase.
We'll check that out. I haven't heard of that.
You do list a lot of the tools you use in your Dirty Money series, because you talk about the cotton.
Every single one.
Because I think if we all sort of list them all, we're surprised how many we use, really. Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, thanks so much for a great chat, Liv. It's so interesting. I think we've got a lot out of it.
It has been fascinating.
I know you've just rebranded, so tell us where our audience can find you.
Yes, you can find me at my slick new website, which is theidentitydepartment.com. Department is just DEPT, not the whole word spelled out. But again, I'll give you the link for the show notes.
Fantastic.
Amazing. We will definitely pop in all the a link to your podcast, the new website, the Dirty Money series, which is very interesting reading for any freelancer. And thank you, Liv, for being our guest. That brings us to the end of the show this week, but we really appreciate everyone out there listening. And feel free to leave us a rating and review on the platform where you find your podcasts.
And I should also point out that we're now doing transcripts of all our episodes as well, putting them on the Content Bite website. So, if you want to re-listen to this or read about it, you can also go to the transcript with our conversation with Liv too, for extra help and,
I love a
links
podcast transcript.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm a fan. Sometimes you can't listen, can you? But you could just go and read it in like 5 minutes and get all the gold.
Or like, I often listen to things while I'm walking the dog, and then it's nice to go back and get the details. Revisit. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Oh my goodness, Liv,
so
you've blown our minds. Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
We'll be back next week.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Thanks again to our wonderful sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's list, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group, or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.